Good afternoon, ladies and menfolk. Welcome to Word Ninjas Live, episode 21. We're a live stream of various writers discussing the trials and tribulations involved in achieving literary productivity. And this time we actually have a full cast and crew. Hooray!
Yay!
That, and we have a special guest. Kit Campbell is back from episode 9. And this time we're going to talk to her.
Instead of talking over her and around her.
Alright, for those of you just tuning in to our little live stream, I'm your instigator of literary insanity, Charles. And going down the line, we have Will.
Hello.
Special guest Kit.
Hello.
Justin.
Hello.
And Calvin.
Oh, hi.
Now, seeing as we have a guest today, it's going to be a little different than normal. We're not going to have our 3 discussion points where we just ramble and distract each other. We're actually going to interview her. But first, because it is December 1st, we're going to summarize Nano. Because somehow we all survived.
Hooray.
It may not feel like we've survived, but we did.
Some of us survived by not doing it this year.
Well, to be fair, how many times have you won Nano so far?
8.
I think you're allowed a year off. And Calvin just has, well, he has excuses.
Yeah, I got stuff to do.
I'm pretty sure Calvin won Nano if you include HTML code as a novelization.
You're
He
probably
probably
right.
won Nano more times than all of us combined, if you count all that. But in, say, 2 minutes tops, for those who did participate in Nano, how did it go? As everyone mutes themselves.
It was crazy. I'm surprised I actually won this year.
You're not
right.
the only one.
Well, this is my second year attempting it and my first year winning it, so I'm very proud of myself right now.
Yay!
I had to write 7,000 words after work yesterday in order to do it.
Ooh, wow.
That doesn't beat Justin's speed run from last year, but that is ridiculously impressive nonetheless.
I didn't have much of a choice. The first week was good for me. I managed to stay pretty much on goal despite work and distractions. Second week started to slip, but I was always able to recover. Like if I missed a few days, as soon as I got a day off, I was able to write enough to get back up. But third week was just bad, and then fourth week was just worse. Especially considering end of third week, beginning of fourth week, I caught a cold that prevented me from thinking, let alone writing. That and retail work this time of year means I was very busy, but I still managed to do it.
Hooray!
Your week schedule being, week 1 and 2 are good, week 3 is bad, and week 4 is worse is usually how Nano goes, actually. At least for me. This year I did not win. The first 2 weeks were going great. I told myself, hey, I'm going to write exactly quota every single day no matter what. And then I'm guaranteed to win, right? I mean, that makes sense.
What could go wrong?
I did that for the first 2 weeks, and it was going great. I even had like a day buffer. And then my job lost 2 employees, technically 3, and so I had to do the work of 3 people, and I could not do that and do quota every night. And the third week I struggled to get as many words as possible, but I was pretty much living at work the week 3. And then at the end of week 3, my boss saw how much I was working, and he was like, look, you need to take some time off. And so he gave me, I was going to work through Thanksgiving break, but he gave me a couple days. for some R&R, and I took his advice and actually did do R&R as opposed to trying to frantically catch up on my Nano. I did win last year for the first time ever, so I don't really feel bad not winning this year. And my novel so far is good, and I'm going to keep writing it.
Hooray! Well, I'm glad you managed to get at least a little bit of time to rest and recuperate.
Yes, these
Yeah.
last 4 days were incredibly needed. And starting off, basically today is my New Year's.
Yeah, as for me, similar to Will, the first week was fantastic. The second week, I kind of stumbled. The third week, I just didn't care. And then the fourth week, I felt guilty and tried to pull it all together, because I'm technically an ML. I'm supposed to kind of show off for people and kind of tell them how it's done.
Lead by
Being-
example, etc.
Yeah, being 18,000 words behind or so was not how to lead by example. So I managed to pull it off and end up with 50,004 words. They're not good words, but they're words.
That's all that really matters.
At least for November. It still needs another 50,000 or so to round out the plot, and then probably a good 35,000 of what I've written needs to be cut and trimmed and repurposed, but that's the way it goes.
Next year, November 1st is on a Saturday, so I'm going to do the one-day challenge. I'm going to just
You're
spend
gonna pull a
24 hours
sushi?
writing. I don't know what that means, but yes.
Sushi must write. She does 50,000 words on day one.
Oof.
And writes
Mhm.
another 50,000 words.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'll be doing
part
the second
Android.
part.
It's kind of weird to think that November is already over.
Mm.
Yes.
It did go by fast.
Yeah. Chances are December will go just as fast, if not faster, and yet be just as busy.
Will for me, at least.
I think for all of us. Just for various reasons. Speaking of convenient segues, let's talk about something that got released today.
Yay!
So, what did get released today?
My novel Shards came out today.
Hooray!
Ooh.
I don't actually have a physical copy, but I have a bookmark.
Ooh.
Pretty. Ooh, I don't know if you guys can read this at all.
For those of you viewing it, just pause.
Slow motion.
Every myth starts with truth.
Oh. That's totally not readable, is it?
It's a bit fuzzy on my end, but readable. I love that the Turtle Duck Press logo has not changed at all.
It continues to be appropriate. Also, we would have to have someone that was graphically handy to make something new if we wanted one. And none of us are terribly graphically handy.
I'm surprised the original creator is not conveniently raising his hand.
Oh wait, that was me, wasn't it?
Oh,
Oh
shit.
I just need December to like be done like really badly. I barely remember waking up this morning. That's how bad it is these days.
You haven't. It's all a dream.
A bad, bad, terrible dream.
Quick, check to see if you have your pants on.
Ah, crap.
That's what the lower third bar is for. But getting back to new book releases, what exactly is Shards about?
Oh. Shards is about a young woman who isn't quite sure what she's doing with her life, and she discovers that everyone around her knows more about her than she knows about herself, and they're not willing to tell her what they're hiding from her. And it mixes in all sorts of fun mythology. Bible mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology. Good times.
Cool. So how exactly did you create Shards? Like, what was the instigation and motivation for it?
It was originally a dream, oddly enough. I dream in third person, so I'm not in the dream, I'm watching the dream. And then when I realized that I'm doing that, I start to try to focus the dream into a story. And so that's how Shards came around, although in the dream there were vampires. And when I woke up, I was like, no vampires. This was back in 2008, so of course everything was vampires. And I'm like, no, we're not going there. So, no vampires.
Good call.
Someone actually asked me that randomly. They're like, oh, urban fantasy, so it has vampires. And I'm like, no vampires. And I wrote it for Nano in 2008 and finished it in 2009. So.
Cool. What was the editing process like to get it to where it is today?
Let's see. I started editing in December of last year, I want to say. And I went through and first I did a whole bunch of research on Greece, because there's a portion of the book that takes place in Greece, and I've never been to Greece. So I had one of my beta readers said, you know, you've mostly got Greece right, but not quite. So I went through and I spent about a month doing research on Greece. Watched a whole bunch of videos and read a whole bunch of books, and then I went through and did extensive plot laying out, where basically I mapped out the entire plot, and I mapped out each subplot, and I made sure that each beat for the plots and the subplots logically and directly led to the next beat. I also did character reshaping, because there was a character that wasn't pulling her weight and needed extensive reworking to work in the story. And then, after I did all that, I actually sat down, outlined the entire thing, and went through and basically rewrote the first half of this book. So it took me, I had to be to my editor on August 1st for Turtle Deck Press. So I basically worked on it nonstop from last December until July 31st on the editing.
I'm going to pause the podcast slightly. I do believe that the sound of the static and the screeching noises are coming from Will's end. He paused his mic at one point and all the problems went away, and then he unpaused his mic and then all the problems came back immediately.
Oh my.
So I don't know if he's the only one not with headphones or if his mic's too close to the speaker. So maybe the adjustment could be made.
Moving my mic around, see if I can fix that.
Little do you know, he has a little white noise generator right next to his microphone, just for you.
I thought his microphone was in his speaker. That might be the...
I tried to put all the sound stuff as close together as possible for convenience and organization.
Well, I hear a little bit of a ting, but it's a lot better than it was before, so I will stop interrupting.
So, out of curiosity, how is it like to be edited by someone else being an editor and all?
Well, first of all, it was really nerve-wracking. Like, if she didn't like the book, it wasn't going to get published, and uh, I didn't know if she was going to hate it or if she was going to find all sorts of issues that I somehow missed or what. So I spent the month that she had it initially like freaking out all the time. And it was kind of interesting because I do edit other people's books all the time. And I've got one I'm going to start tomorrow for someone, and yeah, it was stressful. I wonder if other people freak out as much when I'm editing their stuff.
Yes.
Maybe not, because this was a final edit and I had already done my edits, and this one was directly for publication, whereas most of the people I'm working with, this is their initial edit. They haven't necessarily done it themselves, and they don't have an editor or a publisher lined up. So
Yeah, I know the draft that I gave you for Word Ninja it had a good rough edit done, but it was not clean, as I'm sure you could tell.
yes.
And spoilers, you're getting another book sometime next year, depending on when I
Yay.
can finish it and get it to the point of being worth editing.
Yay, I like books.
So, what has it been like to work with a small publishing company like Turtle Duck Press?
It's very interesting because I retain most of the creative power myself, I guess. I get to pick who I work with for like my cover, and I get to approve the final cover, and I get to pick how much the book is going to cost and pick what type of paper I want in the book and stuff like that. So that part's nice because you still have a lot of control over the final product, but the part that isn't nice is you're also in charge of most of your marketing. So, the press helps where it can, but I still, I've got an unofficial blog tour going over next week, and I had to set that up myself, and, I made my own bookmarks and stuff like that. So, while I get marketing help from the group, it's still a lot of work on my own. So, but it's very nice, and everyone has different talents, and so then I can go to other people and I'd be like, oh, I know you're good at this, can you help me? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, and stuff like that. But it's interesting. I would do it again. Well, I technically have done it again since Hidden Worlds here is also technically a Turtle Duck Press book. So, although admittedly I didn't really market it when it came out because I thought it was a bit of a niche book, because I really thought the only people that were going to like it were other writers. And I've actually gotten very positive feedback from people who don't write on it. But I didn't market it because I didn't think people would be interested. So.
How is it like to be writing Hidden Worlds versus Shards?
It's kind of interesting because it's they're the two most different books that I've written. Hidden Worlds was written serially initially, just for fun. I did a very minor edit on it before I published it. Mostly just there were a couple plot points I fixed, and I fixed some grammar, but I didn't really do a big edit on it. And Hidden Worlds, I would say, is a young adult book, whereas Shards is an adult book. Hidden Worlds I wrote for fun. Yeah, I wrote it for my fellow writers, and I stuck people in that I from different writing groups that are physically in the book, and just had a really good time with it. Shards was a bit of a mess the first draft. Like, I think I was a little too ambitious and hadn't done the research and plotting I needed to get the book to make sense in the end. So it required a huge edit to get it going. But in the end, I think it's a better product. And I think it'll appeal to more people. Well, it better appeal to more people. And they're both kind of adventure fantasy. Everything I write that's fantasy tends to fall into adventure fantasy, whether I planned that out originally or not. Shards was supposed to be straight romance, straight paranormal romance when I started, but it got a bit adventure-y anyway, so I don't know.
And aren't you also published in like some collected stories as well?
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stories in various anthologies. Those kind of run the gamut on what sort of stories. Like this one, the one in this anthology is a paranormal story, and then books attacking. This one, the one in here, is sci-fi, and then this one is fairy tale satire.
I haven't even seen that one before.
Have you not read this collection?
No.
This is an excellent collection. Like, admittedly, I'm biased because I edited it, but I really like this collection. This is all. Some of it is original fairy tales, and some of it is retellings, but that is an excellent collection.
Is that also on Turtle Duck Press?
No, this is a Spork Room book.
Ah.
There's a couple of those. I lost one.
Is it one that fell down?
No. I don't know where it went. Yeah, there's a couple different Spork Room anthologies, but this one is best of them. And then, let's see, this one is straight fantasy, the story in there, so lots of anthologies. Woo. Just make a little pile of books over here. Then you can just pull them out whenever. Oh, 10 worlds. Woo. Do you want me to send you, like, where you can find this?
Yes. I am curious, and I always need more books.
Yes.
As am I, actually.
Never mind, like, the 70 books still in my to-be-read pile.
Only 70.
I haven't done a count recently. It used to be 70. I've added.
I'm pretty sure this entire bookcase is to be read here.
Eep.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
So, for our listeners and viewers, where can we find and purchase all of your books and whatnot?
Well, on my website, which is conveniently on my doohickey here at the bottom, not only do I have a whole bunch of stuff for Shards, including, book description and some secret bonus material, if you guys like that sort of thing. I've got buy links for everywhere: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords. More will go up as they go available. It'll be on Kobo and the iBook store in a couple of weeks. Those always take longer than everywhere else. Plus, I've got all the other books, and they're by links, so everything is on the website.
So everyone listening, get thee to the website.
Yes, it is excellent. I put all sorts of fun things on there. Plus land squid.
Everybody needs a land squid.
Everyone needs a land squid.
My land squid is at work. He guards the candy basket.
That's kind of risky. Do you find that the candy just disappears when you're not looking?
Sometimes, yes. But you need to pay him in something.
That's true. They also like Cheez-Its.
That's why I never have any of those around. And I don't remember if it was mentioned or not, but what is Shards running for price-wise? Print versus digital?
The paperback is $13.99 and the ebook versions are $3.99. Although if you buy the paperback version, you get the Kindle version for $1.
Ooh.
So yeah. Ooh. And yeah. Oh, and I've got signed copies that you can buy off the website for $15. So
I may just have to go and do that.
So, Kit, I have an editor question for you.
okay, I probably have an editor answer.
So, when you read something that has already supposed to have gone under the editing process, and then you see, you're just reading casually and you see a spelling and grammar mistake, does part of you die on the inside?
Like a published book?
Yeah, like maybe not necessarily, first tier published book. I rarely see stuff in that, but Kindle translations are notoriously bad sometimes.
Yeah. Formatting is bad on Kindle. I mean, Kindle is kind of a pain in the ass to format for in general, but I mean, a lot of times you'll just see chapters run together and they didn't bother to put any spaces in between them. But yes, and I actually find them a lot in hardback and paperback books. I've been reading this mystery series lately, and everyone's got missing periods and quotation marks. Sometimes together. And I'm like, how do you miss both? Really bad on the quotation marks, actually. Beginning quotations, they'll have the speech tag and then not have the beginning quotes, and I'm like, how do you miss that? That's super obvious. But I am in the middle of this series, and I think they get lazy after a while.
Do you think some of it is because when you're going through the editing process, most people try to read through it at a faster speed to try to get the work done quicker than a casual reading speed? I feel like I pick up more mistakes at a casual reading speed, perhaps.
That's probably true, but I would hope that if you were getting paid to copy edit something, you would be paying pretty close attention to it, no matter what.
If you're on commission, the faster you get it done, the more money you get, until your reputation starts failing.
Admittedly, I don't know how editors in big publishing houses work. I work individually with people, so I try to do as complete a job as possible, but who knows? Maybe those poor people in the publishing houses have to get 15 books out a month or something, which... yeah, I would forget a whole bunch of periods too if I was trying to do 15 books a month.
Do you edit anything besides novels and stories? Have you been hired to do blog posts or other miscellanea like that?
Actually, I used to do blog posts for Charles there.
Yeah, she basically proofread everything that full coverage writers did for a good while.
But yes, I do everything. I do newsletters, I do magazines, brochures, ads, reports. I do a lot of business reports. um, hospital newsletters. I edit everything. Oh, a lot of college application essays, actually. And I get a
Now,
lot of college students where English is not their first language um, to read through and make sure that I'm naturalizing their English for them. We up in Boulder, we've got a huge international population, so I get a lot of college students also doing their dissertations and their theses, and so yeah, I do everything that people will pay me to.
my wife is English as a second language as well, and she's been writing a lot of essays for some of her PhD classes. And they're just like, sometimes they're like, who's getting the PhD? Is it me or
Yeah.
you? Because I'm the one who seems to be doing a lot of the difficult work.
Yeah, I don't write things for people. They have to write it themselves.
Do you give opinions, or is
Yes.
it mostly just okay?
Well, it depends. I do content or proofreading or both.
Okay.
So whatever. Some people just want the proofreading, and that's fine. And then some people, want suggestions. So
All right. I may contact you after the podcast.
excellent.
And for the listeners and viewers out there that catch this, where can they track down your professional services?
My editing website is kittheeditor.com. And that has contact information and everything on it, as well as testimonials and lists of what services I offer.
And I fully endorse all of them, because I've probably used most of them at this point.
Yeah, except for the formatting ones, I think.
We'll get there.
I do print and ebook formatting in all formats. So.
That would have saved me a lot of aggravation a while ago. So, are there any little tidbits or teasers you'd like to toss out about Shards or any of your other works?
Oh, teasers.
Or are we not allowed any spoilers?
Oh, there's tons of spoilers. As I said, the bonus material section on the website has like the original couple of beginnings on there. It's got some side scenes. It's got scenes that got cut out. And then on the Turtle Duck Press website, which is turtleduckpress.com, there's an excerpt from the 3rd chapter for free on there. If you buy... Oh, that's right, we didn't do a paperback version of that. The Best of Turtle Duck Press Volume 1 has the 1st chapter in the back of it. That's $1 on any ebook form you want. And on my Pinterest account, I've been putting up quotes from Shards, so there's stuff everywhere.
Cool. I'm definitely going to have to purchase a copy, because I've already read Hidden Worlds, and I was most amused.
They're kind of different in tone, but not too much.
I
I tend
almost
towards
anything.
that kind of humorous sort of all the time. That's apparently my voice, is that banter sort of dialogue. Yes.
Does anyone else on the crew have any questions for Kit?
I do actually. You were mentioning that Shards were part of Shards was based in various mythology. I was wondering, how much of the book writing process had to do with research, or is mythology something of a strong point for you?
Mythology, it depends on the book. I think I tend to include it to some extent. Like, I've been working on this high fantasy trilogy forever, but hopefully we'll get it out in the next couple of years. But whereas that isn't directly based off of an existing mythology, it has a lot of its own mythology at this point. Because, I've been working on it for 15 years, so if it didn't, I would be concerned. But Shards actually, the plot directly came from my mythology research. Like, I had a basic plot from the dream, and I started doing research on angels, actually. I did a lot of angel research before I started the book. And the plot, like, which characters I used, most of the plot and a lot of the world building came directly from my research. I found a couple of different beliefs that it's like the book wrote itself, basically. So, mythology definitely has a lot to do with Shards and a lot to do with my writing process for it.
Alright, cool. Alright, just so you know, I did take the liberty of purchasing the ebook about maybe 20 minutes ago, so that is is one thing on my to-do list.
Well, I hope you like it.
Something to keep me sane for December.
Anything from the 2 silent crew members?
Oh, I already grilled Kit on a bunch of editing questions.
I admit I'm not good at coming up with questions.
What is the meaning of life?
42.
42.
I'm glad we're on the same page on that one.
It's probably going to be the title of our 42nd episode.
Why not?
I'd be disappointed if it wasn't.
Scary to think we'll actually make it that far. We're already halfway there.
Oh, you have no idea. I did the calendar for all of our endeavors next year, and it actually works out. Episode 50 is going to be the same week as Connecticon.
Oh, God.
So we're going to have to do a live stream at some point while we're there, because how can we not?
I will work on the technology for that one.
I'll bring my H2.
I'll probably have an H4N by the time that happens.
Oh,
So-
look at you and your numbers that are higher than mine.
Hey, seeing as all the 8 million things I've been doing for the last year, the H4N is gonna definitely be an immediate purchase. Just saying.
I don't even know what that is.
I
Yeah,
presume it's a recorder or microphone or some such.
It's both, actually.
Yeah,
Well
H4N is a fancy 4-track recorder. Apparently, it's got pretty decent preamps too. Built-in microphone, two external mic ports and instrument ports. So yeah, a little bit of everything on that one.
Well, aren't we fancy?
Nothing but the best for the 8 million things that I do.
Before we get derailed even more, Kit, is there anything else you'd like to discuss or talk about or just toss into the ring about Shards or any of your other books or services?
There should be a Goodreads giveaway going up for Shards whenever they get around to doing it. I submitted the stuff a couple days ago and they're still sitting on it. So, but soon, Goodreads giveaway. And those will be for signed paperback copies with bookmarks.
Cool.
I'll put a note on the website when that goes live. It probably wasn't terribly good planning to release the book the week after, or the weekend after Thanksgiving, because nobody's working, and so then everything is delayed. So now I know, and I will warn other people in the future. Don't do it.
But everyone should have free time now to check out our podcast and learn all about the books and then go purchase them.
Yes.
Yes.
They're excellent. Buy the books.
The
Have the
land
sudden urge
demands
to
it.
buy all the books.
All the books.
Not just yours, all of them.
All of them.
Be right back and head to the Library of Congress. Start from zero.
Wow, that will take you a long time.
And an exorbitant amount of money.
Yes.
Speaking of books, CJ, I don't know if you omitted this section on purpose, or maybe I shouldn't bring it up at all, but I'm going to anyway. The what are you reading / writing section seems to not be in the show notes.
Yeah, I made an executive decision last week because no one was around to argue with me that I was going to evolve it into the what are your goals for the upcoming week, because generally I was the only one reading anything. But we can easily enough slip that back in for when it's appropriate.
Maybe just as is, like for example, if I just picked up a book myself, I could talk about that. But we'll get to that when the time comes. I don't mean to skip ahead.
Well, I also figured it's the final week of Nano, it's the holidays. Are people really going to be reading that much?
I've read 3 books this week.
I've only read one. I'm slow.
This
I bought 2 books.
goes really fast. They're only like 250 pages and not terribly substantial, so I can read them really quick. Couple of hours.
I guess we might as well roll into the whole what are your goals for next week? Because it's a new segment, despite it having existed last week. So, out of curiosity, what are people's goals for the upcoming week? What sort of creative things are people up to?
I reckon I'll start. My goals for this week are actually to finish the oh, for crying out loud, brain, what are you doing? My brain
Nothing, apparently.
my brain just gave up right now. Wow. The mock-ups for the various websites and things of that nature. The events of last week were not conducive to getting anything done, so I'm gonna try to soldier through that by Wednesday and hand them over to CJ, so we can give him the thumbs up, and I can start working on the epic coding session that will be taking place this month. And somewhere along the line, I'm going to get some reading in, start on Kit's book, and I'm also gonna start working on the PHP certification study guide, because I need all the ammunition I can get to find new work so I can make more money and do good things. Not in that particular order, but yeah, those are my goals for this week.
Well, that should keep you busy.
Yeah.
Let's roll down the line. How about Justin?
Yeah, so I recently set up my website launch to officially launch January 1st, but I would like to have a couple buffer blog posts to post in case I can't write something for a week. It'll be nice to have that. So I'm planning on pumping out as much as I can, and then actually editing that stuff. Most of it is tied to these 4 guilt monkeys that I have that CJ has provided me, and they're hanging up on a nail right next to where the camera is. And I would like to get rid of them, so I'm going to try to get all that stuff done. And I also wrote a master checklist of a bunch of smaller projects that I've been putting off due to Nano and the work Nightmarish Hellscape. And now that I have transversed through both, I should be able to easily check these things off my list. But that remains to be seen, and I'll update you on that next week.
Kit, you're welcome to join in the conversation.
Well, now that I'm done with shards and all that stuff, and I've got all my guest blogs written and my interviews sent in, I think I shall switch back to my high fantasy trilogy, and I might start getting the first book ready to submit for Amazon's Breakthrough Novel contest in January. So, or I might take a week off, honestly. But the first step to going back to the trilogy is to read books 1 and 2, because I'm in the middle of writing book 3, and that's what I would have done for Nano had I done it. So, you know, reading the first 2 books, that's pretty low stress. So I hopefully will get at least that done.
Nice. How about Will?
Well, my first plan is to actually finish my Nano project Clash of the Storms. While I did hit my 50,000, I haven't actually finished the story itself. So there's probably at least another 10,000 words in there to go. I don't know. Now I'm just going to go until I hit the end. Like to actually finish that one. And at the same time, I need to get back into working on My Roommate's a Stripper, which I took an entire month off of for Nano. I'm sure my loyal readers are jonesing for a new chapter soon. So I'll be working on both of those, and I'll probably mostly be working on Clash of the Storms this week, though. Try to get that finished first.
And of course, surviving the holiday retail season.
Yeah, I only have 3 days off this week, which I know that's some people with normal jobs are like, oh, I don't know, that's more than what I get.
Oh, must be nice.
Must be nice to have 3 days off. I'm like, yeah, I got to deal with irate customers with coupons that don't apply, and they're all grouchy and grumpy. Yeah. Ups and downs to everything. But no, I'll take all my free time to work on writing, hoping to take the speed I picked up for Nano and apply it to Roommate, so I can get chapters out faster.
Nice.
How much speed do you have, Al?
1 chapter a month is the average.
Oh, you mean time.
Yeah.
Alright,
I'm
never
hoping
mind.
to pick it up and at least get out 2 chapters a month. And that includes writing and editing the chapters.
Nice. As for myself, I'm going to put my Nano story on pause for the moment because it requires a lot of research to figure out why the characters are the way they are. Because I only know enough to convincingly write one of the 4 main point of view characters. So I need to hit the books. Figuratively and literally. But mostly I'm also going to be just outlining some plans for full-covered writers in 2014. I've already done the skeleton outline for the calendar to kind of figure out how things are going to be sparsed out, but now I got to figure out worksheets, workshops, conventions, shows, speaking events, interviews, etc. Because I don't really want to keep doing things at the last minute, as fun as that is. Of course, this is all presuming that I can survive my regular day job and then night classes and whatever else life tosses my way. But that should be enough for 1 week. And kind of a follow-up to that little question was, how did last week's goals go, despite no one being on to declare their goals? So let's just go with, how did last week go for people?
Well,
I'm just starting from scratch. I didn't have goals last week. My goals last week were to rest, and I did that. So now my goals are as stated before.
Yeah, in last week's episode, I pompously claimed that I'm going to write 15,000 words in a day so that I can catch up and be done with it. That didn't happen. I didn't have a 10,000 word day either. But I hit 50,004 words by the 25th. No, not the 25th even. It was like the 28th. But I beat Nano for another year.
well, like I said, I managed to win. My goal was to win Nano, and I did. So I guess I achieved my goal for last week.
Yeah, you can just retroactively declare that goal for last week's episode.
Yeah, my retroactive goal was to hit 50,000 words by the 30th, and I did. So I achieved my goal.
Hooray! It's like we retcon things. People were on last week's episode, really.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Might as well talk about upcoming events. Since we did not do a Week 3 or Week 4 Nano status update mini episode, oh well. We're not going back to fix that. And actually, I should have updated that. We're going to officially declare that our spin-off Not Suitable for Word Ninjas podcast is going to be released soon. But the first episode is actually going to be released on January 15th, not December 15th, as the show notes say, because reasons. But yeah, starting next year, our audio-only podcast is going to be released. And we already have a few episodes worth of content that I'm pulling together. So look forward to that. And to the best of my knowledge, we don't have any other events officially scheduled worth mentioning for the rest of this year.
Events. Nap.
Oops. Stop that. I don't want to edit the show notes. I want to scroll in the show notes. Out of curiosity, Kit, are there any upcoming speaker events or guest blogs or anything of note coming up for you?
I've got guest blogs out the wazoo this week. I have an interview with Aaron Zaro tomorrow. Tuesday, I've got a guest post at Amelia Dillon's blog and an interview at Fade into Fantasy. Wednesday, I have a guest blog at Siri Paulson's, and Thursday, I have an interview at AF Stewart's. Or people who are local to the South Denver, Colorado area, which is none of you guys, but maybe someone watching. I will be part of a local author showcase at the library on February 22nd. So,
Cool.
hooray.
Well, with that, we can roll on to the Muse Food writing prompts section. And I have been told by the powers that be behind the scenes that the link in our show notes is not working.
I fixed it.
Good. Because it is posted on the website. And I put the link in our chat. I probably copied and pasted something wonky.
It happens.
I can confirm it does work now.
Hooray!
Oh god. No, I'm just kidding.
What did you do? Alright.
DOS attack.
That would be unfortunate. But right, writing prompts. As always, we provide 10 one-liners and 10 one-worders and a story dice combo utilizing Rory story cubes, and conveniently bundle them into one little one-pager PDF available over at fcwriters.com. And going to the screen share for our viewers. There are this week's writing prompts. Would anyone care to read them out for our listeners? I
Yeah.
vote not me, since I did all of them last week.
I'll do the one-liners.
Okay.
Alright, what do we have here? You don't have to hit someone to hurt them. We all have our not-so-secret pleasures. What's with the white sky ice all of a sudden? It's not really surprised when I can see you through the window over there. I'm not purposefully injuring him, it just keeps happening. I am not living through puberty again. I'm not one for changing my mind on a regular basis. You did not just spend our turkey money on video games. Am I really going to have to ask just what is sticking out of your pants and why? And I bet I can make you blush in 30 seconds or fewer. Quite suggestive, these one-liners this week.
At some point, I'm going to need to take notes on just what podcasts am I listening to when I create these. And I can tell that Ed is not around because I don't hear any snickering in the background.
Ed is at work.
Lame. Anyone care to do the one-worders?
Sure. I'll do it only because the first word is neat, which is how I like my scotch. Frightened,
Nice.
which is also how I like my scotch. Power. Holistic, which is how I don't like my scotch. Aware. Possessive, which is how my scotch likes me. Breakable. Let's not break any of those glasses. Dolls, stick, and out, which you could combine into one hyphenated word, stick out.
Just what are you sticking out?
Look,
Whatever
I was
was
talking
in the
about
pants.
scotch. You made it gross.
Apparently, it's whatever in those pants.
Indeed.
Since my job is easier, would you like me to go through the Rory story cubes as well?
Unless anyone else wants to claim them.
Nope.
It's all yours.
Alright.
All right, so, CJ, I believe you have a Rory story cubes preamble.
As always, we do not own and are not sponsored by Rory Story Cubes. We just enjoy them. So please don't sue us.
Fair use. Rory Story Cubes is a series of 9 dice that are rolled that have pictures on them, and your goal is to come up with a story based on these pictures. The pictures in no particular order are a pair of glasses, some sort of alien face, or perhaps a mask of some sort, a balding man thinking about something, 2 people holding hands and walking, a pair of scissors cutting into a piece of paper, some sort of chemical in a chemical glassware dripping out, a guy playing with a ball, a whip being cracked, and a U-shaped magnet.
Alright. And as always, it is not necessary to use all of these prompts at once, or even any of them. They're just meant as an extra resource for you to use when your muse is tired and cranky, and there are deadlines to be made. And if you happen to write a flash fiction or short story piece utilizing any of these prompts, we would love to read it. You can email us a copy of your short piece or the URL where we can read it by just sending us a message over at wordninja@fcwriters.com. And depending on the submission, we will do a live reading, or at least a live reaction to it on a future episode, as we have continuously promised. Eventually, someone's actually going to call us out on that. Alright. Are there any other little tidbits or talking points or follow-ups anyone would like to toss in before we start wrapping things up?
Yes, I would like to bring up a book that I recently purchased but have not read yet. I just picked up, you may know the famous astronaut Chris Hadfield. He's all over social media these days. I just picked up his book, An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth. What Going to Space Taught Me About Ingenuity, Determination, and Being Prepared for Anything. I've been following him, through Reddit, obviously. He spends a lot of time on that. But recently he was on a podcast that I was listening to, and he talked about how the book was, it was half adventures in space stories, but half of it was how he had a different perspective on life and people after being able to see the entire world at once, and how we were all just individuals just fighting to survive and have kids and pass down our genes and whatnot. So I found the concepts of that pretty interesting, so I'll be reading that book very soon. And I'm sure I'll review it on the website at some point.
Cool. Anyone else? Or are we all talked out?
Kit says yes.
Silently.
Alright, well, with that, let's slowly wrap things up with the brought to you by. Go and support the international organization that inspired books like Water for Elephants, The Beautiful Land, and Dragon Whisperer. So go donate to National Novel Writing Month. Support your fellow writers as they work towards their stories to get them published and read and enjoyed. And if you're into fairy tale manga or anime, well, the manga or anime called Fairy Tail, not just about fairy tales, the Fairy Tale Podcast live streams via YouTube on Monday nights at approximately 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to read about their manga or anime reviews, fanfic dubbing, and more, go check them out. They are most entertaining and very silly. And how about books? I bet some of you love those. Do you want some of your very own? Go over to fcwriters.com, scroll down to the bottom, and use one of the 3 links. We have one for Amazon, one for CreateSpace, and one for Books A Million. Go purchase your books and other shiny baubles via those links. Please. But wait, there's more! Go check out our own store on the same site and purchase our latest book, Word Ninja. Word Ninja was crafted by a half-dozen writers and provides over 100 articles on the craft of writing, from concept to creation and revision to publication. Covers the full gambit. And if you enjoy or appreciate the content Full Coverage Writers provides, including this show and the Not Suitable for Word Ninjas podcast coming out soon, you can support us by sponsoring an episode. How can you do this, you ask? Go to fcwriters.com. Do you see a pattern here? Go to the podcast page and click on the PayPal donation link. While we appreciate any amount you feel is appropriate and you can provide us, as thanks for certain donation levels, we provide tiered benefits back to you, because it's all about our listeners and viewers. For $1 whole, you get a shout-out. We'll promote your site, social media account, your podcast, or if you just want to say hello to us, you can do that too. If you up that to $5, you can ask a Talking Points question. So if there's something you want us to banter about or dig into, $5 will do the trick. And if you go for 10 whole dollars, you can sponsor an entire episode. So it's basically you get the shout out, you get to ask a Talking Points question, and we'll just appreciate you for an entire hour or two of podcasty goodness. And with that, it is time to really wrap things up by saying just who the heck are we anyway? And where can people find us on the intertubes? Let's roll down the line because it's convenient and start with Calvin.
All right, here we go. Let's see. You can find me at Full Coverage Writers. The email address is thewebmaster@fcwriters.com. You can also find me at the music website riffraff, riffraff.net, riffraf.net. My email address there is calvin@riffraff.net. If you're interested in viewing any of the various websites and fun things I've been working on over the last 8 million years, the website is calvin.cwillia.ms. calvin.cwillia.ms. My email address there is calvin@cwillia.ms. On Twitter and Instagram, I am at ccwii, and on Tumblr, I am instacal. I do believe that covers everything.
So basically, Calvin is everywhere.
More or less.
He's omnipresent.
How about Justin?
You can find my placeholder page for my soon-to-be launching website at facingmyreality.com. It's going to be a productivity blog with a little bit of an interesting twist, trying to give you practical knowledge and not trying to link bait you with 5 reasons that you need to get more sleep and then have really obvious information. I want to actually try to provide a service through this website. You can email me at info@facingmyreality.com. The Facebook, which is also a placeholder at the moment, is facebook.com/facingmyrealityblog. My Google Plus page is a series of numbers, which I'm not going to read out. Hopefully I can get that changed eventually. And my Twitter, which I'm already posting to semi-regularly, you can find me at twitter.com/facingmyreality.
Alright. And the almighty editor, Kit.
All right. Well, the website, my writing website is kitcampbellbooks.com. The editing website is kittheeditor.com. I am at Goodreads at goodreads.com/kitcampbell. Twitter is Kit Campbell. And I am also on Pinterest as Kit Campbell, but I'm trying to figure out what the actual username is. Pinterest is Campbell1091, which is quite random, but I didn't get to pick it, so there you go. And all of the shards links you could ever want, you can find at kitcampbellbooks.com.
Nice. And Will.
All right. You can find my almost never used Twitter at Will Granville. Always seem to forget about it these days. I'm mostly on my Tumblr pages for adults only, not safe for work. You have been warned, just like every week. My personal one is darkhome.tumblr.com. It's spelled DARKHOM. If you're looking for my novelization adult-only work in progress, you can find it at myroommatesastripper.tumblr.com. And I also have an adult site over on SoFurry at darkhome.sofurry.com. Mostly not safe for work, but you'll need to sign up to view the not safe for work content. If you don't have a if you don't have an account, you will only view safe for work stuff. And that's pretty much it.
Alright, and as for myself, I don't really tend to use social media personally, but if you really want to try and track me down, my Twitter handle is silver_wolf85. I use it maybe once every 2 months or so. Maybe I'll pick that up again one of these days. And it's not worth trying to track me down on Facebook or anywhere else because there are way too many Charles Mewers out there. If you happen to find the one wearing a fedora sitting in front of a typewriter, that's me, but otherwise, you're out of luck. And for full coverage writers in general, the website, as we've mentioned a lot, fcwriters.com. For our organization's social media, we're over at Tumblr at fcwordninja@tumblr.com. Facebook is facebook.com/fullcoveragewriters. Our literary Twitter handle is at fcwordninja. And as always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, queries, etc., you can reach us by email at wordninja@fcwriters.com. And with that, we are signing out for another week. We'll see you all back for episode 22. Adios. As everyone mutes themselves.
It was crazy. I'm surprised I actually won this year.
You're not the only one.
Well, this is my second year attempting it and my first year winning it, so I'm very proud of myself right now.
Yay!
I had to write 7,000 words after work yesterday in order to do it.
Ooh, wow.
That doesn't beat Justin's speed run from last year, but that is ridiculously impressive nonetheless.
I didn't have much of a choice. The first week was good for me. I managed to stay pretty much on goal despite work and distractions. Second week started to slip, but I was always able to recover. Like if I missed a few days, as soon as I got a day off, I was able to write enough to catch back up. But third week was just bad, and then fourth week was just worse. Especially considering end of third week, beginning of fourth week, I caught a cold that prevented me from thinking, let alone writing. That and retail work this time of year means I was very busy. But I still managed to do it.
Hooray!
Your week schedule being, week 1 and 2 are good, week 3 is bad, and week 4 is worse is usually how Nano goes, actually. At least for me. This year I did not win. The first 2 weeks were going great. I told myself, hey, I'm going to write exactly quota every single day no matter what. And then I'm guaranteed to win, right? I mean, that makes sense.
What could go wrong?
I did that for the first 2 weeks, and it was going great. I even had like a day buffer. And then my job lost 2 employees, technically 3, and so I had to do the work of 3 people, and I could not do that and do quota every night. And the third week I struggled to get as many words as possible, but I was pretty much living at work the week 3. And then at the end of week 3, my boss.
Good afternoon, ladies and menfolk. Welcome to Word Ninjas Live, episode 21. We're a live stream of various writers discussing the trials and tribulations involved in achieving literary productivity. And this time we actually have a full cast and crew. Hooray!
Yay!
That, and we have a special guest. Kit Campbell is back from episode 9. And this time we're going to talk to her.
Instead of talking over her and around her.
Alright, for those of you just tuning in to our little live stream, I'm your instigator of literary insanity, Charles. And going down the line, we have Will.
Hello.
Special guest Kit.
Hello.
Justin.
Hello.
And Calvin.
Oh, hi.
Now, seeing as we have a guest today, it's going to be a little different than normal. We're not going to have our 3 discussion points where we just ramble and distract each other. We're actually going to interview her. But first, because it is December 1st, we're going to summarize Nano. Because somehow we all survived.
Hooray!
It may not feel like we've survived, but we did.
Some of us survived by not doing it this year.
Well, to be fair, how many times have you won Nano so far?
8.
I think you're allowed a year off. And Calvin just has, well, he has excuses.
Yeah, I got stuff to do.
I'm pretty sure Calvin won Nano if you include HTML code as a novelization.
You're
He
probably
probably
right.
won Nano more times than all of us combined, if you count all that. But in, say, 2 minutes tops, for those who did participate in Nano, how did it go?
Saw how much I was working, and he was like, look, you need to take some time off. And so he gave me, I was going to work through Thanksgiving break, but he gave me a couple days for some R&R, and I took his advice and actually did do R&R as opposed to trying to frantically catch up on my Nano. I did win last year for the first time ever, so I don't really feel bad not winning this year. And my novel so far is good, and I'm going to keep writing it.
Hooray! Well, I'm glad you managed to get at least a little bit of time to rest and recuperate.
Yes, these
Yeah.
last 4 days were incredibly needed. And starting off, basically today is my New Year's.
Yeah, as for me, similar to Will, the first week was fantastic. The second week, I kind of stumbled. The third week, I just didn't care. And then the fourth week, I felt guilty and tried to pull it all together, because I'm technically an ML. I'm supposed to kind of show off for people and kind of tell them how it's done.
Lead by
Being-
example, etc.
Yeah, being 18,000 words behind or so was not how to lead by example. So I managed to pull it off and end up with 50,004 words. They're not good words, but they're words.
That's all that really matters.
At least for November. It still needs another 50,000 or so to round out the plot, and then probably a good 35,000 of what I've written needs to be cut and trimmed and repurposed. But that's the way it goes.
Next year, November 1st is on a Saturday, so I'm going to do the one-day challenge. I'm going to just
You're
spend
gonna pull a
24 hours
sushi?
writing. I don't know what that means, but yes.
Sushi must write. She does 50,000 words on day 1.
Oof.
And writes
Mhm.
another 50,000 words.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'll be
these
doing
part
the
names
second
work.
part.
It's kind of weird to think that November is already over.
Mm.
Yes.
It did go by fast.
Yeah. Chances are December will go just as fast, if not faster, and yet be just as busy.
Will for me, at least.
I think for all of us. Just for various reasons. Speaking of convenient segues, let's talk about something that got released today.
Yay!
So, what did get released today?
My novel Shards came out today.
Hooray!
Yay. Ooh.
I don't actually have a physical copy, but I have a bookmark.
Ooh.
Pretty. Ooh, I don't know if you guys can read this at all.
For those of you viewing it, just pause.
Slow motion.
Every myth starts with truth.
It's totally not readable, is it?
It's a bit fuzzy on my end, but readable. I love that the Turtle Duck Press logo has not changed at all.
It continues to be appropriate. Also, we would have to have someone that was graphically handy to make something new if we wanted one. And none of us are terribly graphically handy.
I'm surprised the original creator is not conveniently raising his hand.
Oh wait, that was me, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh
yes,
shit!
it was.
I just need December to like be done like really badly. I barely remember waking up this morning. That's how bad it is these days.
You haven't. It's all a dream.
A bad, bad, terrible dream.
Quick, check to see if you have your pants on.
Ah, crap.
That's what the lower third bar is for. But getting back to new book releases, what exactly is Shards about?
Oh. Shards is about a young woman who isn't quite sure what she's doing with her life, and she discovers that everyone around her knows more about her than she knows about herself, and they're not willing to tell her what they're hiding from her. And it mixes in all sorts of fun mythology. Bible mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology. Good times.
Cool. So how exactly did you create Shards? Like, what was the instigation and motivation for it?
It was originally a dream, oddly enough. I dream in third person, so I'm not in the dream, I'm watching the dream. And then when I realized that I'm doing that, I start to try to focus the dream into a story. And so that's how Shards came around, although in the dream there were vampires. And when I woke up, I was like, no vampires. This was back in 2008, so of course everything was vampires. And I'm like, no, we're not going there. So, no vampires.
Good call.
Someone actually asked me that randomly. They're like, oh, urban fantasy, so it has vampires. And I'm like, no vampires. And I wrote it for Nano in 2008 and finished it in 2009. So.
Cool. What was the editing process like to get it to where it is today?
Let's see. I started editing in December of last